Welcome to Round 1, the series where we play just the beginning of a game to give you a taste of what it's like. In today's episode, we will be controlling monsters in a cooperative effort to completely destroy an evil genius's secret base in MonstroCity. Played over 5 rounds, we will work together to maneuver quickly through a maze of structures that consist of buildings, turrets, tanks, helicopters, roadblocks, and more, all of which will impede our movements and slow down our progress. The game can not only be played cooperatively, competitively, or solo, but it can also be played as a turn-based game or in real time, both of which we will show you here today. We have but one goal, to destroy everything in our path before the game ends, and you'll see every move that we make. And after the dust settles, join us as we discuss our entire experience and find out if we came out on top. All right, so we're here at the table with MonstroCity, or MonstroCity, however you want to call it, it's up to you. It is a 1 to 4 player game that can be played in 2 different modes, but we are representing monsters who are trying to destroy this city, and we're actually the good guys here.
Yeah, we are the good guys. I'm not sure exactly how the theme works, but there's a Dr. SPOTNICK. I'm not sure that there's relation to Dr. Robotnik, but Dr. SPOTNICK is the bad guy here, and for whatever reason, we're trying to destroy the city to foil his plans. Now, some of the city, these tall red buildings, those are the turrets. Those are going to be doing damage back to us. The rest of it might just be sort of like collateral damage in the course of the game, but we've got 5 rounds to try to get through this, destroy as many of the buildings as we possibly can, maybe some specific buildings, and survive also through to the end.
And we're going to show you the 2 different ways to play the game. It can be played in real time, which is completely frantic when you play it, or it can be played turn-based. We're going to start off the game with 2 rounds around the table showing you the turn-based. So you get an idea for how the game plays, right? Yeah. And then we're going to finish out that round, and then we're going to come back and show you the real-time madness. And we'll explain all these different components as we go through the game, but I'm going to start off with the very first turn, and the very first thing you do at the start of every round is you're going to flood this map with the police, because they're coming out there to destroy you.
Yeah, when you do the police phase, you're going to be taking police cars off of the police station, equal to the number of players, and putting them out in very specific spots. You're going to start with the lowest numbered spot at all of these intersections that you're seeing us place them at. So 1, 2, 3, and so on. In future rounds, if one of those spots is filled, you're just going to skip to the next spot. You could potentially get a ton of police cars out here. And here's why the police cars are bad. The police cars represent one of the die faces you're going to roll. When you roll that, based on how many police cars you've taken off the board, reveals damage that's going to do to you. So you can do damage back to the police cars and get them back on that board. So that's going to be one of the things we're trying to do.
Each of us is going to have a character in front of us, which is going to be placed around the outskirts of the city on one of the spawn points. When you die in this game, you're simply going to respawn to note how much damage you've taken. Each of us is going to have a life track on our board. It's going to differ depending upon the different characters that we play. Right below that's going to be a rage meter. This rage meter, when it's full, you get to power up your special ability. And the other thing that's really important about your character is your movement value. We're all playing with characters that get 1 inherent free movement at the start of their turn. However, there's other characters that may move a little bit faster or have different abilities or different amounts of health at the start. So we've already put the police buildings out. Playing in the turn-based, we're all going to roll our dice at the exact same time. Very simple. All right, so on these dice, there are 5 different things or facings on them. However, of course, it's a 6-sided die, meaning that 2 of the facings are represented twice on the dice. Everyone now is going to fulfill whatever their dice say, making sure that you do all the bad crap first.
Yeah, you're going to have to reconcile the turrets and the police first. So if you think you're going to be able to take out a police car or a building before you take that damage, you're wrong. You're going to take that damage first. So I'll just tell you, I've got 2 police and 1 turret. So the way you're going to look at this is with the turrets, you're going to look at whether or not you're next to one of the city blocks that has a turret in it. I'm right here, so I'm adjacent to only 1 city block that has a turret. This turret is going to do damage according to the city threat level, is going to correlate to turret damage. This is a prototype. The final numbers are going to be 2, 3, 3, 4. So this one's going to be doing 2 damage to me. If I was right here in the center, I'd have 3 turrets doing all that damage to me. So you can see how damage is going to pile up quickly. So I'm going to take from that turret 2 damage and go down to 16. Did anyone else have any turrets?
I do. I have 1.
All right, I don't have any turrets.
Now police cars.
Yeah.
I rolled 2 police die. if you remember, we removed police cars, so it's revealing a 1. So we're going to take 1 damage for each of those. I take another 2 damage.
One of the things about police cars, too, is these can actually be enhanced by having tanks out. Tanks will come out through the course of the game by having retaliation cards that are going to appear at the end of each of the rounds, depending upon our city track. The more damage we do to the city, the more the city's going to throw back at us.
Yeah.
So for right now, we're just taking 1 damage, but this could be 3 or 4 or 5 damage depending on each of these. And it gets really progressive as you go through it. Next,
You had some police too.
I did. I took my 2 damage for the police. And now we get to fulfill all of our other different sides. There are a number of, there's 3 other sides. One side is simply swords crossing. That means you get to do 1 damage for each one of these to an adjacent building. But before you do so, you can actually move. And I'm going to move my guy 1 space adjacent because I want to get rid of this turret. Turrets are the most dangerous things to us, and I'm going to do 1 damage to it inherently. So, boom.
Yeah, movement and adjacency in this game is orthogonal, so you can't move diagonally, nor can you attack diagonally. I have 1 energy and a free movement, so I am going to move, you know what, I'm going to take out this special building here. I think I'm going to move here for my free movement and just save my energy to maybe do something else.
What do you have?
All right, well, I'm already at, because we start the game at the top of our rage track, our rampage track, I'm going to go ahead and use that first because I have
Nice.
3 more to add to it here. So I'm going to go down to 0, and I'll go back up to 3. And mine allows me to jump for 3 and land, and I'll do 2 area damage. So I have 1, 2, 3 jump, and I'm going to get everything that's in my immediate area, which would be these 2 buildings, and I get to do 2 to each of them.
Yeah, you see the buildings are built such that you just put these damage cubes out on top of them, and they're going to hold a number of cubes. The red buildings, the turrets, are going to take 9 damage in a 3-player game. The special buildings, the purple ones, are going to take 7, and the common buildings are going to take 6.
The lightning bolt that you see here can be used for one of 3 different things. One, you can simply use it to move 1 space orthogonally. The second thing you can use it for is to attack an adjacent building. And the final thing that you can use it for is to move up your rage. So what I'm going to do with this is first, I'm also going to use my rage and do 2 area effect to everything surrounding me, and that's these 2 buildings. And then I'm going to spend this one to do 1 more damage to this tower. And as we said, you've got to get rid of the turrets because they will destroy you through the course of the game.
And the tougher thing yet is between rounds, those retaliation cards, some of those might have you taking damage off some of the buildings,
Right.
particularly starting with the turrets. So the more damage you can do to those quickly and get them off the board, the better. When you do take a building off the board, you're going to simply place it next to your player board because that's going to come into play during the cleanup phase. So I have 1 energy as well. I'm going to use that energy simply to do 1 damage to this special building. I didn't position myself well to use my rage attack, so I'm going to hold on to it.
Yeah, you should have probably gone for that red building.
I
but
should have.
We'll see what happens here. All right, so that's 1 turn out of a round. So now we're going to do the second turn-based action for this turn. So we're going to do it again. Let's see what we got here.
Nice.
Anyone have any turrets?
I do not.
I do not.
What?
The same thing.
I have another turret.
Well, almost the same thing.
So I'm going to take another
damage.
2 damage
On your sheet.
on my sheet. So I'm down to 12 from my original 18. Any police cars other than mine?
I do. I have 1 police.
Yeah, I do too. So I'm going to take 1 damage from the police car.
All right, let's do rage next.
So I have 3, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Whoops,
Go to 1,
boop.
yep.
Because I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to run rampage 1, 2, 3, and do 2, 2, and 2.
And the police car.
And
Yeah, the police
I
car's
knocked the
gone.
police car out, which is good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. Now, keep in mind, you see that some of the buildings that she did damage to are diagonal, but her special ability does damage all the way around her.
Yep, and then I also have, should I finish it or
Well,
let
let me
you
do my
wanna your
rage. I just
your
added
rage?
2 rage to my track. So nothing
I don't
for
have
me
any
there.
rage. I have an attack and some energy, so go ahead and
I
do
also
yours.
have an attack, and so I get to do 1 more to, and I'll obviously do it to this turret because we want to get rid of those.
You have an attack on yours.
I have an attack, but I'm going to do something a little unique, so I'll go ahead and do it. I'm going to use my energy. One thing we didn't mention that you could use energy for, not that I'm using it for this now, but you can heal.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when you use energy to either do an extra movement, do an extra attack, increase your rage, or heal yourself,
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is something you're going to want to do in this game. But stupidly, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to use my 1 free movement to come here, and then I'm going to use my rage ability. Mine's Roaring Blaze. I'm kind of Godzilla-like. So this deals 3 damage up to a range of 2 in a straight line. So I'm going to deal 3 damage to both of these buildings with my ability.
Nice.
This goes down to 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and use these to do 2 more damage to this gray building right here, since it's the only one in natural adjacency.
And I'm going to use my lightning bolt to do 1 more, so I only need 4 more in this spot to destroy this turret. And luckily I haven't rolled any, so it's not done any massive damage to me yet.
Let's do 1 more,
All right.
and then we'll go on to the
I want to destroy
real
something
time.
here.
Oh no, I'm in
let's
a
see, that's
bad
not good.
spot for turrets, by the way, if you didn't notice, because this street is actually
Just
on
2.
both of these
There's 2.
blocks.
Yeah.
So if I had stayed here, I would have been in the same boat. Even though it's all the way over here, it's on the same block. So I'm going to get hit by both, so that's 4 damage.
Yep.
It is one of the interesting things about this game, particularly in turn-based mode, is it really becomes more of a puzzle game and less of a frantic game. And you've got to be careful about moving around the board like Kira has. She's used her ability to jump around quite a bit, but she's in the thick of it now.
And we each have 2 turrets as well, so that's
Ugh.
4 damage for each of us. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm down to 7.
I've got 2 energy and rage. I'm going to use all 3 of them because I get to do so much damage. With
All
that,
right.
I'm going to go ahead and keep it and keep jumping back and forth, I think.
All right. I will use both of mine as attacks, my lightning and my swords, to make that just 2 damage. So I only need 2
Pretty
more
close.
to kill this.
I'm going to use my 2 swords, well, use one of them anyway, right here, which is going to take out this common building.
Yes.
So when you do that, you're simply going to take it, return your damage cubes, and place the building right next to your player board.
And your other one's wasted.
My other one is unfortunately
But you
wasted.
haven't moved yet, so you could move.
That's true. I forget.
So
I
move
always
back
forget about
one
the free
way.
movement.
Yep.
I'm actually going to move right here.
Nice.
And keep in mind, we hadn't done this yet, but you can move into the city blocks if you can. You just have to remember you can only do it orthogonally. So I'm going to move my free movement and use that last sword to do 1 more
Good call,
damage to the
Kira.
turret. Yes.
All right. That's 3.
Yeah, that's 3 rolls,
3
effectively,
rolls,
of
yes.
6 rolls that you would have
For a round.
in a round in the real-time game.
So,
in the turn-based game.
yeah,
in a turn
Yeah, I'm
based.
sorry.
so what we're going to do is we need to finish out this round off camera. We're going to pause. We're going to come back, tell you how we've progressed, and then we're actually going to do a real-time round, which is going to be crazy. So we'll be back in just a moment. All right, so progress report time. We're at the end of the very first round. We did all 6 of the different turns in turn-based fashion, and we came out pretty beat up, but we destroyed 6 different buildings, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm pretty beat up. I have 3 hit points left.
Same.
I've got 12, but also I start with a lot more hit points than you do.
Well, that's true. You're in better shape. And like Jeremy said, we knocked out some buildings. I think we each got a turret.
Yep.
Oh, we each got a turret
the
and
same.
and a common building. So now we're going to go to the cleanup phase, and the first part of that is to determine what the city threat level is. Like Jeremy mentioned earlier, as we do damage, the city's going to throw it back. So we take a look at the buildings we destroyed, and we're going to tally that up to determine how far we move up. The red buildings are going to move it up 2, the purple buildings are going to move it up 2, and the common gray buildings are going to move it up 1. So we have
3, 3, and 3 total.
3, 3, and 3, that's a total of 9. Now here's what you got to know about this. As you move it up, not only is it going to potentially move up the threat level, but you're also going to trigger some spaces. The first space we get to here is a Dr. SPOTNICK retaliation card at number 4, so we're going to resolve that now.
All right, this one says Charm Monster. Monsters lose all of their rage.
Oh,
So I was at 0. You guys,
oh,
at
that's
3.
nice. That's nice for
I was
you.
at 3.
I was at 3 also.
but
Anger.
we all gained 3 hit points, which is
Well,
really
that's
good.
okay.
Whatever. I would have refilled
1,
when I
2,
died.
3.
All right, so
All right, so then we move up the next 2 and hit the scientist. What's her name?
Maddie Newton.
Maddie Newton at number 6. That's a reinforcement card, so this is going to be generally a good thing.
this is a good thing. It's med supplies. We're going to drop X amount of med kits. X is always equal to the number of players, so 3 of them in spaces 3, 2, 7, and 6. So,
So 3, 2, and
2
7.
is
2 is already
full.
occupied.
So we go which way, David?
Well, 7's going to have one already,
Yep.
so we can put it in 6.
There you go.
Yep, there you go. Perfect.
All
So they
right.
would have been in the center. So basically, when you're filling with anything
the
but the
town hall.
police cars, if a space is occupied, you're going to go to the next closest place to the center of town.
All right, so one more, I think, right? We're going up to 9.
So yeah, we have to go through another
Yeah.
Dr. Spot.
So we're going to go through another retaliation card at space number 8.
Lullaby. All monsters lose 3 rage.
Oh, well, that's not
Oh,
bad.
That's
we
fine.
already lost all
I'm
our
okay
rage,
with
right?
that one now.
Ooh,
Pretty
nice.
much.
All
We
right.
got lucky. All right.
All right, so then it moves up to 9. Here's the good news. Well, the bad news is we suffered through all that. The good news is we didn't go down to the next row. So the city threat level is effectively the same. That's going to mean that we don't resolve a retaliation card. The retaliation cards are going to come into play when the threat level's at 2, 3, or 4. You're going to take that threat level number, subtract 2, and that's how many of those cards you have to resolve. So once you're later in the game, you're going to be flipping a lot of those retaliation cards.
That's right. And the final thing, you're going to notice that Kira's had her phone on the table the entire time as we're recording. That's not because she's texting people or
I think
or
she might be
checking,
texting a little bit.
But you're going to notice this game also has an app. That's because we're going to play this under 2 minutes for the next round. This app is going to have all the different monsters in there. You're going to see some cool animations, but it's basically a timer. So we're going to play this next round with the 2-minute timer. But before we do that, you know what we have to do? We have to bring out more police cars.
Yeah, the police phase comes again. There's also a spawn phase if by chance you were off the board at the very end of the round, but thankfully all of us were still on there. So 3 more police cars.
So,
all right, so 5.
We should go to 5, then 8.
And then 10. Where's 10? It's going to be on one of these
It's got to
sides.
be
Right
over
here.
here with you, yeah.
Yeah, and again, this is a prototype. The final board's actually going to have, I think, some letters and numbers around the edge to make that a little bit easier. But now we have revealed a 2 on the police stations, which means any of the police die that we roll are going to do 2 damage to us. So
Ouch.
it's going to get tougher and tougher.
So we want to get the police cars back off of the
We
board.
probably want to maybe go take care of some of the police cars.
And
I would
maybe
say.
pick up a med kit if you're feeling like you need some additional health. You guys are at a point now where it may not make sense. You could probably die and respawn instead of wasting that med kit out there.
Yeah, dying is not the worst
I don't
thing.
know, it'll take me up to 11.
That's true, but unless you kill a police car, they're going to be doing a lot of damage.
Sure.
Well, I'm going to definitely go after, since I've got this turret gone here and there's not one here, I'm going to go after these 2 police car, which will bring it back down to 1. So I can focus on that if
Sure.
you guys want to focus on buildings.
But this is when it gets crazy. So
Yeah,
we're
this
not
is-
going to be talking through it this time.
We will
Very
maybe be
much.
shouting at each
Yes,
other.
screaming.
But this is a very different experience. We're going to be doing exactly what we did before, except not turn by turn. We're going to be doing it for 2 minutes, rolling as fast as we can, and doing all of that the same way we just did.
Which is kind of a blessing, too, because we could do 15 different dice rolls if you're
fast.
If you're fast enough. Instead of 6 on a regular round, you can do a lot more. But you might be also rolling some bad stuff along the way. So
It's definitely not one you want to
I'm going to get this out of my way because I am going to do this hardcore.
Now we
Oh, man.
also need to move to round 2.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. We need to move this up to round 2. And like Jeremy said, at the end of this, we're going to resolve one of these event cards.
All right. Are we ready?
We are ready?
So everyone remember, turrets do 2 damage, police do 2 until 1's removed. So,
And we have 2 minutes.
yes.
2 minutes.
Already?
Are we ready?
Yes.
Go.
All right. Turrets do nothing.
Turrets first. Oh boy, I
2
took
damage.
2 damage from a police
1, 2.
car. 2 rage back.
2 damage.
And an
Police.
energy.
1.
Rage.
Don't forget you
2
can
damage.
move for free for once.
Yep. Rage.
Jeremy's much faster than I am. Ooh, that's not
2
bad.
damage. 2 more damage. And killing
1.
All right.
Kill the police car.
Police are dead? Oh, nice.
Police
Okay,
cars
so
go
1,
back.
1. I'm going to get a health back, and I'm going to get rage.
Move.
Oh, this is strong, by the
Police
way.
car.
All right.
I took another police car out, so we're good on police.
I'm
Oh,
going
good,
to
because I just rolled police.
do
So
a
that's 2 more
free move.
damage.
I'm going
I'm
to
gonna
do
heal 1.
8 damage. And take
This
police.
must be great viewing. All of us just saying
Okay.
things at the same time. I'm gonna do a
You gotta
damage.
do what you gotta do, man.
All right.
No
so
damage.
I died, so I get to finish my dice though now that I've respawned. So
Well, I'm
that's
rolling
good.
really
So I'm
well
gonna
this
go-
round so far.
Damage.
I'm gonna do 1
Heal.
damage to this police car, which
Damage.
takes us back up there.
Nope.
And then I'm gonna move
We're
1
doing 1, 2,
and
3.
do 2 to this building.
And then
Halfway
police.
through.
1 damage.
Ooh,
Rages
3
could be
rage.
wasted.
4
2
rage.
damage.
Oh man, I'm getting so lucky.
I'm just gonna use my
1
thing.
damage. Oh boy.
Pop this.
I'm gonna
gone,
heal.
And
2,
move
3,
up 1 rage.
2.
Move up 1 rage.
How are we on
All
time?
right, free movement. I'm gonna
Oh,
move
no.
1. Pick this up. Move up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move up a rage. We're going
I
to
just
move
died.
1 more,
Oh no.
and we're going to do 1 damage.
Ah, crud.
Rage.
I'll start right
Doing
there, I
2
guess.
3 damage.
3.
Oh no.
No.
3
Moving.
damage. 1,
No,
2,
free
3.
movement, and then 3 damage.
Move.
Rage.
8 seconds.
Oh, boy.
We're gonna pop this. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh my
damage
gosh.
To this guy. 4.
That's it.
2 damage to this.
That's it.
That's it. Oh my
All
gosh.
right,
I
dice
did
down.
really well, but I've got
Dice down.
7 health left.
Oh my gosh. Jeremy, we'll have to
cleared.
watch the tape to make sure
You can
Jeremy
watch
was
it.
honest.
You can watch
But
it.
man, oh man, you cleared out a ton of the
I
board.
rolled
did.
bad. I got a lot of turrets and a lot of police.
Well, I set out to kill those 2 police cars,
Only
and that's
back down
all I
halfway.
did. Because I did that, and then I came over here. I ended up dying. I did a little damage to this special building, but I was trying to set up a rage attack so I could try to take this down with you.
You know, the first time we played this game, we were using these to move all the time, and I totally forgot that we have a free movement. Once I remembered that, maybe 1/4 of the way through this round, I was like, oh, I can move, attack, move, attack, move,
Every
attack.
roll.
the move-
Every
That
roll
helped
you get
me
the one
immensely.
move
Yeah.
that you come with.
Yeah, that really helps too, because movement is like that lightning bolt energy icon. You want to use it for attacks. You want to use it for rage and maybe even healing, but
Yeah.
you can get around the board quite a bit
Well,
with it for sure.
let's do the countermeasure. Let's see what happens at the end of the round, so we can just show them what this card could possibly do.
Right. So we should have gotten rid of all those
Yes,
first.
these
So
are all gone.
I have 1. Jeremy has 3. David has 0.
0 buildings.
So we're
1,
gonna go
2,
up 4.
3, 4. So move up 4
So
spaces.
now we're into bad turret stuff. We're gonna
4.
get
We're gonna get a reinforcement at number 11.
another Maddie.
All right, Berserker mode. All monsters fully recharge their rage.
Oh, I wish that had happened during that round.
Except that then, watch, probably we're gonna get
Now we have
Dr.
a retaliation.
The monster with the most hit points,
I have 10.
I'm at,
I have 9.
Oh my god.
loses 5.
Oh, sorry, David.
That's
All
all
right.
right. And then
We have to do a retaliation phase because we passed through.
Well, we only went at 4.
no,
and we were
that's
at
at the
9.
beginning of the round.
That's right.
You
that's
went
right.
too far. We were only at 9 before,
we're at
and we went
13.
at 4, so we should be at 13.
There we go.
Yep.
13.
Countermeasure.
Lucky number 13. Then we're going to move on to the event for the end of round 2. So flip over that event card.
Ooh, spawn X tanks, which is the number of players.
3.
So we're going to spawn 3 tanks, and those are going to go. I'm going to hand these to you, Jeremy. 13, 14, 11, and 12, just what's
14.
available. So start with 13.
13. Where's 13?
Here's 12,
13, 14, and what else?
14, 11, and 12.
All right.
All right. While there are tanks in play, if you guys didn't catch this earlier, we mentioned it, the police damage is increased by 2. This doesn't go
Oh.
away till all of the tanks are off of the table, so that stays
So
in play.
every police car icon now does 3 damage. This is where you have to take care
Well,
rid of
don't
the
forget,
tanks.
we're going to
Yeah.
spawn police now
Yeah.
during the cleanup, as part of the
To go
cleanup
up to
phase.
2, which means
Well, that's at the beginning of the next
Yeah,
phase,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it will be bad. The police cars are going to be doing. Oh yeah, that's right.
It's
Because they're going to
now.
be doing. No,
4.
they're going to be doing 2 plus
2 more.
2 more. So they're going to
damage.
be 4 damage
Yeah.
next round. So not only do we have to get the police cars off the board, but more importantly, we need to get those tanks off the board.
Mm-hmm.
And even more importantly, we have to destroy all the buildings.
Yeah,
like,
and
you
that's
can't
it.
forget that.
And that's the end of round 2. And we only have 5 rounds to do this. And they encourage you to try to do it within 4, which I can't even conceive we have a chance of doing this time. But we are going to try to do that. We're going to play the game out, and you can join us back here. We're going to be sitting on the chairs, hopefully not crying, but we're going to be talking about our whole overall experience.
Our
and
hopeful victory.
Yeah.
we'll let you know, and we will be honest. We'll let you know whether we won or didn't win so well. But join us there, and we'll see you then. All right, well, we survived the game for sure, and we're going to get this right out of the way. We won. Not only did we win,
We won in real time.
we won in real time. Well, we did play the one turn-based round, but we won in the 4th round, which gives you a little star, which is sort of like the extra special win. We destroyed all of the buildings, including the town center, so we did really well. As bad and as bleak as it looked there at the end of the round 2, our round
It got
3,
worse.
it did get worse, but our round 3 was solid. Like, we destroyed a bunch of buildings and kind of had corralled it into just sort of the lower sort of like southwestern quadrant
Yeah.
of the entire board.
All of these, I mean, all these co-op games have this kind of like this bell curve to them, right? Like you get over a specific
Yeah.
hump and it starts to go away. It was almost a blessing having those tanks out really early, right? We had them in like the end of the 2nd round, which
would've been
mean that
bad.
once we got them out of the way and that card was gone, those police weren't as bad. But we were at a point there when we had police doing 4 damage and we had the turrets doing 3 damage. So if you had a bad roll, you would probably be respawning, which in turn can also be a blessing because it could reset you in a spot that could set you up to be able to like maybe destroy a building, a turret, or destroy some of those things that are sitting out on the board.
Yeah, and on top of it, we had the helicopters out, which prevented us from healing.
Yeah.
That was bad.
It was like everything, so tons of damage, no healing ability. That was tough.
We were able to take the tanks out, though, in round 3. They came out. You saw them come out at the end of round 2, but I think you took out most of the tanks, right?
That was between Jeremy and I. I think we split them.
I didn't take out any buildings in round 2, but that's all I did in round 3 while these guys took out the tanks. So at the end of round 3, we had a really good situation. Then between round 3 and round 4, it got ugly because we moved from, I think, the second level of the threat track all the way to the bottom of that track and triggered how many retaliation
like
cards?
4 different
We
retaliation
went through the
cards.
entire deck of retaliation cards.
we
We had to
triggered-
shuffle them and start over.
Retaliation, at least another reinforcement. But it got bleak, and I didn't know how it was going to go, but our 4th round came together pretty well. And we beat it, like, at the last second of
We didn't
the
get
4th
enough
round.
help from Maddie Newton for
No,
the
we didn't.
amount of retaliation that we had. And that's okay. We did get the health packs out there. We got some energy packs out there. They were nice to have, but, like, overall, yeah, we were getting hit hard from Dr. Spotnik.
I think it was between rounds 3 and 4 too, where we'd had 2 of the turrets that was left. I think maybe 2 of 3, or maybe it was the last 2 turrets, both of which had like nearly all the damage they needed to be taken off the board. And we flipped a retaliation card that made us take like 6 damage off of them. And then I think another retaliation did the same thing. So they basically came back to nearly full health, so we had to do all that damage again in the 4th round.
Well, I had one roll that was all turrets. Like, all 4 of them came up city side. It was really hard for me.
Were you sitting between 2 of them? at the same
No, I
time?
luckily
'Cause that would've been
wasn't.
awful.
We had knocked him out. But, you know, it's one of those things. So my rage getting to Rampage.
You're talking about the game, not your personal rage.
That
right?
too, yeah. But no, the rage that I am able to, my ability is so good. So moving through, jumping 3, which means I can go over buildings
the
and
movement
land,
particularly,
and do the 2 area damage was super beneficial to kind of clearing out some of that mess, including the tanks and the police cars and the turrets.
That is a lot of damage. Mine was to shoot forward. I do 3 damage to 2 things in a straight line. So I had to maneuver to make that happen, but when I could, the problem with me was my rage meter would either get up or we'd flip a card that made us lose rage, or I would die. And when you die, your health goes back up to full, but your rage goes down to 0, so you have to rebuild that every time, which is probably easily the worst thing about dying.
Twice
in the game.
that happened to me, where I had it full and depleted.
My rage meter wasn't so great. It was just 2 area damage, but the thing is I start with a lot of health, so I could actually go out on the board and kind of hunker down into position and just throw the area damage around, knowing that I had a whole nother health track at the bottom, like 6 or 8 more than some of you guys. So I could sit there in those areas. The other thing that, this game is really variable. Like, as I mentioned previously, we got the tanks out really early, which was a blessing. But if we had gotten the shields out early, then the shields are going to protect those buildings from being able to be damaged until you damage them. So the right combination of maybe tanks and shields and police cars can really mess up your day.
Yeah, those shields have to be the worst thing, because when the tanks come out, like I said, some people could do the tanks, some people could still attack buildings. When those shield generators come out, everyone kind of has to turn their attention to those shield generators, wherever they may be. Like, we may be in all sorts of different parts of the board. Those things come out, we have to travel really far and get to them. Those could be out over probably 2 rounds when they come out.
Yeah.
One other thing that wasn't apparent when you guys watched our first 2 rounds was the things got really ugly, and when those turrets attacked, you could be in the middle of a bunch of them. The good news is, as things clear off the board, I was rolling turrets in my 4th round that weren't doing anything to me because I wasn't anywhere near a turret. And then I got close enough to one to do a bunch of damage and luckily didn't roll the turret.
That's that puzzle aspect. When
Yeah.
you're looking at the board at the very start of the game, you're trying to decide where's the best position. It's always advantageous to go after those turrets at the very beginning, but also the right turrets, not just a random assortment of them. If you can get them in the right areas, you can kind of make it easier on yourself in future rounds because nothing is shooting back.
Yeah, you want to really control that movement and sort of whittle the board down in one direction, which is, like we said in round 1, your move is awesome, but you're also leaping around doing a lot of little damage to everything. So there's a lot of stuff that has damage, but it's not destroyed.
Well, and if I move that one movement, moving myself into position for that jump is important as well, because there was definitely a couple times where my rage meter was full and I'm rolling more rage. It's like I kind of need to use it, and I'm jumping somewhere where there's just really nowhere for me to go. So if I had to think moving 1 first, then jumping, sometimes still didn't do anything. So getting myself into the best position possible. But by doing that, I was setting it up for you guys as you moved closer to, at least they were started.
Yeah, well, and luckily those cards didn't come out to remove damage at that time, because that would have been ugly.
That did come out.
Had that card come out and it took off like 3 or 4 of those buildings, that would have been pretty
There was
bad.
a couple times they did come out though.
Yeah,
we
it
had
did affect it.
2 turrets that were almost completely knocked out,
Yeah.
and we had to remove 6 damage from them out of the 8 that were there. We were 1 away from knocking 2 of them out and had to remove 2 retaliation cards in a row.
Yeah.
That was hard.
The 2 last comments I'll say is, number 1, this can be played by just about anyone. I mean, you can sit down with this game with a 6, 7-year-old and introduce them to the basic mechanics.
Oh,
and
they'd
it's
like
up to
that
them
too.
to be able to. I mean, it's destroying using monsters. But the other thing is, like, I'm not a huge fan of games that put you in a real-time situation. Like, I stay away from video games and that have a timer, because it always creates this
much
huge
tension.
amount of anxiety in me. So, right? And this game has that, but in a fun way. But also, if you don't want to play that way, and there are people that just are adamant about not playing their games in real time, you can do it turn-based,
Yeah.
which you can play and have just as much enjoyment from the game that way.
And what's interesting about the turn-based too, a couple things. One, they recommend 6 rolls per round, but you could basically increase that if you wanted to make the experience a little easier, or decrease it to give yourself a little bit more challenge. The other thing about the turn-based aspect is I'd almost recommend this for everyone. The way we did it today, where we played 1 round in turn-based and then did the real time, that would probably be a really good way to teach the game to people
for
at your
sure.
table. So if you're getting people together to play it or demo it, maybe play the first round that way and then say, okay, now we're introducing a 2-minute timer, and everyone at the table is going to go, oh, what?
Yeah. Well, and speaking of making it easier or harder, the app is really nice too, because it's a 2-minute timer is what they tell you to use, but you can actually make it a 1-minute timer, or you can make it a 3-minute timer if that's something you want to do. And then there's a fun little animation and some music to kind of set the scene for you. But I thought that was really nice, so that if you're with people who maybe have a little AP and you're trying to teach the game, you can make the timer a little longer if they are okay with real time, and just give them a flavor for it, and then you can decrease it over time. So it allows you that variability to make it your own game. But I think the other thing I'd say too is, I gotta say, like, I want to stand while I'm playing that game. Just really do.
makes
Like,
She
you wanna
said
stand,
this.
roll
right?
She
and
said this
stand.
for the last 2 days
Yeah.
too. By the way,
We
she
need
wanted us to stand and play this game.
it's easier than reaching across the table for me anyway, because I'm short. And then also just because it's so frantic, you're just you can see everything that's
Right.
going on. So
Right.
I'd probably play it on a counter style
Yeah, it
table.
will be an interesting game to see maybe demoed at cons, because I can imagine that being a table where there's a lot of commotion, people standing around it like that.
Absolutely.
But that is our round 1 for MonstroCity, and yes, I know we played kind of round 2 as well, but deal with it. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to say about the game, make them down below. We'll take a look at those. We'll have the people who are running it at Vesuvius Media take a look as well. Make sure to check out their Kickstarter, and join us back here the next time we have a round 1. Thanks a lot.